One of the fastest ways to get really good at voiceover is to do a lot of live directed sessions. Now, in this video, I'm gonna break down what a live directed session is, why you should offer them for free when you start, and how to go about them so you can rock it instead of looking like a total amateur. Here we go. A live directed session, for those of you that are new and aren't aware, it's when you're actually recording your voiceover live with a director, usually done over Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Source Connect, and I'll get into more about those in a little bit. Why do I think it's one of the best ways to get really good at it? In the beginning, when you're doing voiceover, you're working with a lot of coaches, or maybe you're just working on your own skills and you're just reading scripts all the time. That's all well and good, and that stuff will help, but nothing will give you more experience than working with a director, where you see firsthand what they want you to do with the script. I've done hundreds, if not over 1,000 live directed sessions. And every time I go into one, I always learn just a little bit more, especially if it's a really good director. They have you go so many different ways with the script, and it's never what it is in the audition. In fact, when I do a live directed session, it's pretty rare that the audition I did sounds anything like what the finished project is. It's usually a mixture of like what the voiceover talent is bringing, what the director is bringing, and what the writer or producer is bringing. You mash them all up and you jam. You jam like it's jazz. And then you come up with something that none of you could have come up with on your own. That's why I always say when you're doing an audition, take what they're saying, what they're giving you for direction with a grain of salt, because oftentimes, most of the time, they don't actually know what they want. That's just like first draft, what they think, what they want, and then you come up with something completely different. That being said, I digress. So when you're first starting out, I recommend offering live directed sessions for free in your quote. It's free training. It's better than free training. You're getting paid to train. Working with a director is gonna give you so much experience, and it's gonna make everything make sense. All the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars you spent on coaching, all the countless hours auditioning and working on your skills, all of it is going to make a lot more sense when you start working with a director. So offer them for free. Now, if you've been doing this for a while and you're a proven voice talent, for sure, charge for the time. But in the beginning, just get into a live directed session. As many as you can, offer them. You know, if you're not sure about the direction, or just when you get one, like, they're gonna appreciate it. Say, hey, you know what? I have a pretty good idea of how to do this script once you've been awarded the job. Say, if you'd like, I'd like to offer you a live directed session for free so we can work it out together. 9 times out of 10, they're not only gonna say yeah, they're gonna say, fuck yeah, you're an awesome person, let's jam it out, let's do it. And you're gonna learn so much from doing it that way. Some things you need to know if you're gonna do a live directed session. Number one, you need to know the different ways to do a live directed session, the different types of software you're gonna need. Most common, Zoom. That is the most common way to do a live directed session these days. Probably behind that is Microsoft Teams and Google Meets, and then Source Connect. There are other ways, but I'm not gonna jump into those right now. These are the 4 most common. You wanna know about the other ones? Just fucking Google it, use ChatGPT, check it out, whatever you wanna do. When you're using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or was it Microsoft Teams or Google Meet? Microsoft Teams, yeah, or Google Meet. I did have it right. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's Saturday. Leave me alone. But it's Saturday while I'm doing this. It's not Saturday when you're watching it. It's Friday, this coming one. Anyway, when you start using this software, make sure before you get into the live directed session that you've tested it to make sure that everything is set up correctly. The last thing you want to do is leave it to the last minute. You want to make sure that you've tested that you can hear sound coming from the other side of Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, or Source Connect, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Source Connect in just a second. You want to test that with a friend, or just by using the test button inside there, it'll play a sound so you can hear it in your headphones. Make sure that that's all ready to go. Make sure that it can record sound. Like, that you're recording on your DAW, your digital audio workstation in your computer. If you don't know what that is, watch more of my videos, basic thing you need to know. And that your sound is also being registered across the platform that you're using to record a live directed session, whether it's Zoom, Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, or Source Connect, or any of the other ways that you can do it. Before you jump into the live directed session, some things you want to do. Number one, practice that script over and over and over. Now, depending on the size, you can do many different sizes of scripts. You know, I've done live directed sessions up to 3,000 words before. I don't recommend it. It takes a very long time. If you're doing that many words, you want to split it up into a couple sessions, but I've done it and I've read through that script at least a couple times before I jumped into that session. Anything shorter than 1,000 words, I would read probably about 5 times. And you're searching the script for words and word combinations sections that are difficult for you to say, because the last thing you want to find out in a live directed session is that if you haven't practiced the whole script, that there's a section of it that's like a tongue twister. It's difficult for you to say. You want to work that out ahead of time, not in a live directed session. Trust me, it happened to me before. I almost had a panic attack. I had to get out of my booth and take a walk for a second and be like, okay, so I'll be back in a second. And then I went and cried in the mirror, and then I came back and got my shit together and got through it. First and only time that happened to me. And then after that, I practiced the shit out of every script I did. After you practice a whole bunch, you're pretty confident you can get through the script, no problem, without making a whole lot of mistakes. Next thing you want to do, 5 to 10 minutes before you jump into the session, start recording on your computer. Do it before you're in. Make sure that you do it. Not only that you do it, but when you get into the live directed session, after you do the introduction, and hey, how's it going? Good morning, and all that kind of stuff, tell them, hey, I'm just gonna go and check my levels. You're not checking your levels. You've already checked your levels to make sure, because you've prepared for the session, made sure everything's set up correctly. You've already checked your levels. What you're doing is saying that so that you can go to the computer and make sure that you're recording. I have once, only once, and a lot of people I know have done this, forgot to record in a live directed session. When you're doing it over Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet, I'll get these one of these days, or anything other than Source Connect, but even with Source Connect, you want to be recording locally on your end as well, because you're going to send that file to them later on. Even in Source Connect, in case there's a dropout or something, they want your file too. Do not forget to record. I went through a whole session once and I forgot to record, and then I got out and I noticed it. I was like, no. So I had to email them and tell them that, hey, you got to get the CEO of the company and everybody that doesn't have time to jump back on a session, reschedule it and redo it again. Luckily, they were super nice about it. We just jumped back in, and then, we'd already had it worked out. But don't be me. Make sure that you're double checking. Record 5 minutes before you jump in, and then check to see it's recording once you're in. Once you're in that session, you're sure you're recording, you double checked it, all your audio, everything's working. You wanna have a little bit of conversation before you start. You might have the engineer on, the director, the producer. It's usually a really relaxed environment. Loosen up a bit. You can drop a couple jokes if you're funny. If you're not, just be super polite. It's usually pretty casual, and you wanna come across confident. They're gonna be looking to you. They may even say, hey, what's your take on the script? Don't be afraid, tell them what you think. Prepare ahead of time and think about, the different ways that you can take that script. Aside from the direction they've given you, be like, hey, you know what? I thought this might work. And they might just say, no, we're not cool with that. No problem. But get ready to pivot, because during that live directed session, they're gonna be taking you all kinds of directions. They're gonna be getting you to do probably the stereotypical conversational read, a little bit more energy. They might even get you to do an announcer read. That's being more popular these days, becoming more popular again. It's on a bit of a comeback, the announcer read. And they're gonna have you do different lines. They'll do pickup of lines and sections of the script, and have you do things in that doesn't make sense at the time, but it may in the context of how they're gonna edit it later on. They're gonna do what's called Frankensteining pieces of your takes together to try and make something truly dynamic and really engaging. So get ready to pivot. Don't just, when you're practicing beforehand, don't just read it one way. Read it a variety of ways so you're ready to, bob and weave like a boxer. I don't know, it's not really a violent thing. But yeah, just be ready to pivot. Be flexible and be ready to play. They love playing around. And just know this, you already got the job. They picked you. They already like you, so you can just breathe and relax. And if you make a mistake, it is okay. Maybe I've gone through a few live directed sessions where I didn't make any mistakes, and that's because maybe the spot was a tagline. When I did a spot for Orange Theory, huge campaign, got paid a lot, and $35K, what? To say, buy now, get next month free at Orange Theory. That was it. I didn't make any mistakes in that session. That session also lasted about 5 minutes long. I said it like 3 times and then we were out. That's it. But other than something that short, a live directed session, typically for about 200 to 300 words or a 30-second spot, can go anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Usually it won't go much longer than an hour unless you've got like some kind of e-learning thing and they wanted to live direct you and it's over 2,000 words, or a medical read can go typically quite a long time, especially if it doesn't matter about the length, even if a short one, because they might have a doctor on the line to make sure that you're pronouncing the medical terminology correctly. But it's okay to make mistakes. They're comfortable with it. They expect it. So if you make a mistake, no problem. If you make a mistake 5 times on the same line, no problem. Just take a breath. Be like, hey guys, I'm just gonna take it back a couple lines before. Just give me a second here. And they'll say, no problem. They're on your side. They want this to be awesome. They want it to be excellent. They don't want it to be mediocre, and they're not judging you. They're hoping to God that you're coming in with a lot of confidence and you're ready to collab, because that's what they want to do. They want to jam it out like a band. They want to play and they want to create a beautiful song. And that requires you to do it. That's also one of the reasons why I laugh every time somebody says that AI is going to take over the business. People that don't know about voiceover. Anybody who's in the video game, animation, or commercial space that works regularly with directors knows that there's no possible way AI, at least not anytime soon, until maybe directors, producers, writers all become AI. And I don't know what's going to happen then. But for now, there's no way an AI can do what we do. It will take twice as long because you're constantly doing things like, for instance, when you're doing a line, you're going to hear terminology like the director is going to say things like, they might say something like, hey, on that line, can you go down at the end of it? Or they might say, can you go up at the end of it? What they're talking about is your inflection. They want your inflection to go down, or they want your inflection to go up. See how I did that? Just like that. So like, let's say you got a line like the one I just said, buy now, get next month free at Orange Theory. That goes down. That typically makes it sound more confident. Now, if they said, hey, Jesse, can we hear what it sounds like to go up in your intonation, just to hear what it sounds like so we have it in the pocket? They'll say something like that. You say, yeah, sure, no problem. Make your tonality, your tonality go up. So I would say, buy now, get next month free at Orange Theory. See how it kind of went up and made it a little bit happier, a little bit brighter. If you do it too much, you can make it sound like a question. Buy now, get next month free at Orange Theory. Like but anyway, get ready to play, because they might do things like that are clearly wrong. Like there's no way you want to add a question mark on a tag, but they might want to just hear it to rule it out. So get ready to play. I can tell you, out of all the live directed sessions I've done, which is a lot, I can't count them. For sure, a few hundred, maybe 1,000, I don't know. I've only ever run into a jerk maybe once or twice, and usually everyone's super fun, very playful. They're there to have fun too. It's a really relaxed environment. Every now and then they're in a time crunch, so they're all business, but usually you can tell right off the bat. They'll say, how's it going? And they'll be like, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Jesse? Thanks for jumping on a call with us. We're a bit of a time crunch. We're just gonna jump right into it if you're ready to go. No problem. Okay, whenever you're ready, just give us a full read and please call out the takes. Take one. And that's another good point. When you jump into a live directed session, you want to make sure after you've done your pleasantries and your good mornings and all that kind of stuff, or good afternoons, whatever time it is, you want to ask them if it's only one person, ask them if they can write down which takes they liked that you did, or which sections of the takes that they liked. Because if you don't ask that, they may assume that you're writing down what's called the selects, the takes that they like. Like if you do, for instance, the first line, which you may do after you do a full read, a bunch, and they'll say, give us an ABC. So you do it 3 different ways. And they say, yeah, we liked B a lot. You know, you'll get 3-4 people chiming in, they all pick B. If you're not telling them to write it down, they may think that you're marking it. That you may have your computer right in front of you and you're marking it, and then you're gonna tell them the selects. Or they may say at the end, hey, can you just send us the selects? We don't need the others. And then you're like, what? Make sure right away you're communicating that you want them to mark down on a piece of paper or the computer or whatever it is. Just tell them to mark down which takes they like. And then you're gonna call out the takes before you start. So if you're doing a full read, you go, full read, take 1. And if you're doing, let's say, the first line after you've done a full read, which is typical. Typically, you'll go do a full read, maybe once or twice. Then you'll attack it section by section. Then you probably do the first line, do an ABC of the first line, ABC of the tagline, which means you'll read it 3 times, 3 different ways. And when you're doing that and they're marking it down, then you don't have to think about it. And remember, you can focus on what you're doing. And then at the end, when you're calling out those takes, after you've called out those takes, at the end, when you send them the file, they can easily find them. So it also makes you come across like a pro and real confident when you tell them how you're going to work. And they'll ask you too, how do you like to work? So just be confident about that. Make sure that you're calling out the takes, make sure you're telling them to write down which ones they liked. And at the end of the session, make sure, even if it was painful, let's say you're unlucky. The first time you did live directed session, it was a jerk. Tell them you had a great time. Thank you so much. I really appreciated working with you. Don't say you learned a lot. That'll make it sound like you're green. Even if you learned a lot, say, thank you so much. I really enjoyed working with you. Hope to work with you again. Do I send the files directly to you, or is there an email address you'd like? The way I send files after I do a little bit of basic cleanup, which I'll talk about in a second, is I typically WeTransfer it. It's a cheap program and it sends it really fast. Businesses are used to it. I find it's better than Dropbox. Of course, you can use Dropbox. Some people use Google Drive, but I find WeTransfer is the easiest and fastest way to do it, and you can send it to multiple emails. So definitely get that. Before you go, like I said, make sure before you jump off the line that you've got a place to send the files. You've said, thank you very much. You really enjoyed your time. Hope to work with them again. And ask them where you can send your invoice. And you're pretty much good. You know, sometimes if it's a really good time that I have and it's a really awesome project, I'll ask them, hey, do you guys think once it's finished, I can get a copy of the finished project? And they'll be like, oh yeah, that's no problem. They love it when you take an interest in their work. And then you take that work, once you get it, we can talk about how you get it in another video, but once you get it, you can post it on social media, tag them, then you can stay top of mind that way, and they love you for it because you're posting on your social media, it makes them look like rock stars and they want to work with you again. Let's talk about Source Connect a little bit. So Source Connect, for those of you who don't know, it's a program that has a direct line connection from your studio to another recording studio, usually like, you know, a big box recording studio where they have like thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, if not millions, and you have a direct line from your microphone into their studio. So it sounds like you're in the next room recording with them. The reason they do that is because usually, not always, but usually they're recording direct to picture and they're editing it right in front of the client. So by the time you finish that session, the project will be finished and it will go live. Let's say it's a radio commercial, a TV commercial, it'll go live probably that day. It's neat to do because you can hear them talking about it. You can hear what the spot sounds like when it's coming together, and they're taking different parts of your lines and putting it with background music and whatever's happening on the screen. It's really cool. But a lot of people seem to think that you can get Source Connect once you book a Source Connect job. Do not say that you have Source Connect until you get Source Connect, because Source Connect is notorious for having glitches. Once you get it, you know, you may be lucky and you might just be able to download it and it'll start working right away. But most of the time, you have to get tech support from Source Connect and make sure it's mapped out through your router properly. And if it's not, you might just get, you'll get them in one ear, or you'll hear an echo when you're talking, or it'll time out, all kinds of problems. So make sure that you have it. It's only like 35 bucks. You only need Source Connect Standard, not Pro. Just get it once you're starting to work. Get it before you start booking Source Connect stuff, because unless you're super lucky, and I don't recommend planning on being lucky, unless you're super lucky, you're gonna run into issues with it. I promise you. So don't be that person. Don't say that you have a program before you have it because things move fast. And let's say they do book you, they're probably gonna say, hey, can we book you in for a Source Connect session tomorrow morning? Let's say it's 5 p.m. your time. You can't get Source Connect on the phone. You download the program, try to get it work, doesn't work. Then the client hates you. That's how you get a bad name, because you just wasted their time. So just buy the program, just get it. It's not that big of a deal. Now, that's a whole lot of information I just threw at you. There's a lot more to it, but you kind of have to just get into a live directed session to do it. Now, some people in my community and people I've worked with before have expressed that they're afraid to get into a live directed session, that they usually skip those jobs because they're afraid that they might mess up or they're not confident in their abilities. Everybody's afraid when they start. Just gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. Literally, doing live directed sessions is what's going to make you better. Don't avoid them. Run towards them. Run towards the cannons, as they say. I heard that in like acting class once. Run towards the cannons. Get as much experience in as you can. I would recommend doing a live directed session before you even work with me. I know, I love you guys. Like, a lot of you reached out and you wanted to train and coach with me, and I would say, yeah, great. I'd love to coach you. But at the same time, if I could say that, you know, you've got coaching with me or anybody else, that's great, versus doing a live directed session, do the live directed session. You're gonna get more out of it. The experience is worth its weight in gold. But if you have the means, do both. Do live directed sessions and coach with another person. So, oh right, almost forgot. Before you export and send that file to the client, I like to do a little bit of basic cleanup. You don't have to. Most of the time, they just want you to record raw and send it to them raw. But if they ask for it, or you can ask at the beginning, do you want the file raw or a little bit processed? They may say something like, we just want you to do a little bit of cleanup. Or they may say they want you to fully process it. I'm not gonna tell you how to process a file in this video, but I'll touch on basic cleanup after. What basic cleanup means is basically some minor background removal, taking out some of the larger spaces, some of the dead air in the session. Doesn't take that long to do, and doing a little bit of declicking. If you have a program like Isotope RX, they've got an excellent declick in there. Put it on a lower setting. I would say set it on just lower than default, which I believe is 4. So set it down to like 3 or something like that. But this isn't an Isotope RX declick video, so if you don't know what that means, just Google it. Isotope RX is excellent, and you can just run it on a low setting, and it'll clean up the mouth clicks just a little bit and a little bit of background noise, and that's it. Normalize it to -3, and you're good to go. Export it at a WAV file at 48K, and you are good to go. And that's all you gotta do. Send it to him, and Bob's your uncle. I don't know if Bob's actually your uncle, but if he is, good job. Other than that, yeah. I hope this was insightful for you. I know some people in my free community and my paid community were both asking for this, so there you go. Here's a big old video on live directed sessions and my take on it. But really, honestly, you just gotta do it. Just get in the game. Now, if you'd like to learn more about live directed sessions and go in depth, my VoiceOver School community is absolutely fantastic for that. We're constantly doing mock live directed sessions, trainings. We got a whole bunch of videos that go way deeper than this on how to get ahead in VoiceOver. Some people, you know, they reach out to me and you guys do in the comments, you have big goals, like you want to start making $1,000 or $2,000 a month and you're not making anything right now and you want to do it in 1 month. You can speed run this. You know, that's not an audacious goal. You can do it, but you got to get in the game. You can't do this casually and expect huge results. You got to go for it. If you really want to go for it, hit me up. There's many ways to work with me. Check the links below. You can join my free community. That's for people that are a little bit newer in their journey, don't have a home studio and all that kind of stuff. If you're a little bit more advanced and you're starting to make some money and you really want to go for this and go full time, check out my VoiceOver School community. There's links to it in the links below, or if you just want to coach with me direct, let's talk. You can book a free 15-minute meeting in the links below. I'll tell you which program is right for you, if any at all. And if not, hopefully I can just point you in the right direction. All right, everybody, that's it. That's all. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we will see you in the next one.